What's good? This is Trey, and I'd like to welcome you to the Masculine Throne. And today we are talking about how to attract beautiful women without doing thousands of cold approaches. If you're someone who is interested in attracting beautiful women in your life, but you don't necessarily want to be doing thousands of cold approaches, this video is for you because you're going to get some insights on a more efficient way of going about attracting beautiful women in your life. I want to preface this by saying that I have done thousands of cold approaches. So I'm coming from a perspective of basically saying, okay, I've done this, and I realized over the years that there's a much more efficient way to get the same result, right? The result being able to attract beautiful women, right, in your life at will, right? Doing thousands of cold approaches can get you to that point, but it's just not necessary. So there's a difference between picking up women versus attracting women, right? To me, picking up women is basically you kind of going out like on a mission, like, all right, I'm gonna go out and pick up some women. And attracting women is more about just living your life as an attractive man who naturally gets women. He's not even really trying. And to me, becoming a naturally attractive man is much more appealing than being the guy who's like going out and having to do a ton of approaches just to get a girl. And I've done both, or I've done both basically. I know what it's like to be the guy who's going out and approaching tons of women, and you can get results doing that. And I've also been the guy who's not really doing much approaches, but is still getting women, right? Just by embodying an attractive aura, an attractive beingness that women, all you got to do is just get around women. So you don't necessarily need to be going and approaching a ton of women. You just need to get around them and express yourself. And because you're expressing yourself in an attractive manner, you're going to attract women. So that's the difference. And if you think about naturals, guys who are naturally good with women, they're not learning a bunch of pickup. They're not going online, reading about pickup and watching all these videos and trying to learn all this stuff. They're just naturally attractive to women. They're doing things naturally that attracts women, and that's, to me, where it's at. That's where we want to get to, because when you're at that place, it becomes effortless. So let me talk about cold approach, because cold approach, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying you don't need to do thousands of cold approaches to get to a place where you're able to attract beautiful women. So let's talk about it. Cold approach is necessary. If you want to develop courage and self-confidence, cold approach will do that for you. And it'll also help you get really good at starting conversations with strangers. So to me, that's where if you're interested in developing that, like developing courage and self-confidence and getting good at starting conversation with strangers, do cold approach. But if you're interested in just attracting beautiful women, like that's your goal, then I'm going to give you some advice on what you should focus on more so than doing cold approach, right? You can do cold approach, but your energy is better focused elsewhere. And I'll explain that in a little bit. Cold approach strengthens your character. So it's good for strengthening your character. As a man, you want to be the type of man that is courageous, right? That is self-confident, that can approach strangers, right? So for that reason, cold approach is valuable in that sense. It will help you develop those qualities that strong qualities to have as a man, right? But you don't need to do thousands of cold approaches. Like me, I was just going crazy with the cold approach, and I have no regrets, but it just wasn't the most efficient way to do things. There was a lot of effort. There was a lot of time invested in that. And the results that I got were good results for sure, right? And the ability that I've developed is very valuable, but it could have been achieved in a much faster time. Like the same results could have been achieved in a much faster time and with less effort if I would have knew what I know now. Okay. Another thing I want to mention is doing thousands of cold approach and having the ability to pick up women. It's great, but it's not going to make you happy. And what I mean by this is, there's guys who basically are getting into cold approach and wanting to learn to pick up women because they think it's going to make them happy. And here's the thing: it will give you some kind of temporary happiness, but it's not going to like give you that, that happiness or like that fulfillment that we're really looking for. Or what I would say is what we're really looking for is that wholeness, like feeling whole, feeling complete. Maybe you feel like there's a hole in you and you need to fill that. So doing tons of cold approaches, picking up women, having a bunch of sex, it's not going to make you happy. It will give you some temporary happiness. It will be kind of cool to it will feed your ego, whatever, but it's not what's going to give you the true happiness and the satisfaction and fulfillment that you want. I'm going to explain what will give you that in a little bit. But cold approach itself and picking up women's is probably not going to do it. However, cold approach can be a rite of passage to confront your fears and make you grounded in your masculinity. So basically what I'm saying here is cold approach is good for like if you're doing it for yourself. Like if you're trying to get women, cold approach is not like if you're trying to attract beautiful women, quality beautiful high quality women, focusing on cold approach like solely is not the best way to do that. Right? Cuz that's what I did. And I did get the result. Like I was able to get beautiful women and, have multiple women dating multiple women, all this great stuff, but it required a lot of time and effort, like years. It took me years to get to where I wanted to be, which, to be honest with you, it didn't need to take that long. So what will make you attractive to women is not necessarily doing thousands of cold approaches, but here's what you should be focusing on. Focus on getting clear on your purpose, like having a life purpose and getting clear on that. Focus on building your character, building yourself into like a strong, powerful, interesting character as a person. Have some like know what your values are, know what your principles are, know what your boundaries are, and become grounded in your masculinity. So mentally and emotionally stable and able to express your masculinity without apology. This is what will make you attractive to women. If you develop these things that I said, then you can go anywhere that there is women, and just by being you'll attract women. They may even approach you, because if you're demonstrating these things, these qualities, you'll catch women's interest, right? So, that's what I recommend, and instead of like doing thousands of cold approaches. So what you're doing here is you want to reprogram your subconscious mind. So right now, the reason you're not getting the attracting women the way that you'd like is because your subconscious mind is working against you. It's been programmed to get you whatever result you're getting right now or lack of results you're getting. It's based on the programming of your subconscious mind. So you need to reprogram your subconscious mind. And by doing that, you will attract beautiful women. And that you don't need to do thousands of cold approaches to reprogram your subconscious mind. And it's basically like doing therapy on yourself. People go to therapy to get help with their mind and their emotions and stuff like that. You don't need to go to therapy. You could do therapy on yourself. Like there's certain things you can do to reprogram your subconscious mind. You just got to do it. I think maybe that is probably one of the main issues is the lack of accountability. Like people, you can find a lot of information online and books on how to handle your problems yourself, but the accountability is the issue for most people. If you're gonna cold approach, don't make it like, oh, I'm cold approaching because I'm trying to get some women. Like, do it because you want to become a better version of yourself. Like, do it because you want to build courage. Do it because you want to build self-confidence. Do it because you want to build your character. If you do it for those reasons, then what you're doing is you're focusing on becoming an attractive man as opposed to trying to get a woman to feel attractive. Do you see the difference here? Like, if you're just going out the cold approach because you don't feel like you don't feel like um you don't feel fulfilled, you don't feel whole, you're not happy, right? And you're going out to cold approach to get women to fill that gap for you, it's not gonna go too well. Like, you're gonna face a very challenging situation because you're going to be approaching women with a broken foundation. You're basically gonna be approaching women from a place that is unattractive. And so what do you think is gonna happen, right? You're gonna face a lot of rejection. So instead of focusing on that, if you focus on the fact that you want to build courage, confidence, and character, you'll come across with a different intent and you'll be more attractive to women, right? Instead of like, I'm trying to get something from you, I'm doing this because I just want to build my character, right? There's a different energy that's going to come across. So yeah, cold approaching and picking up women won't necessarily make you happy and fulfilled. But what will make you happy or give you the feelings you want to feel is developing your ability to control your emotions. So that's why I'm saying you want to work on your character, right? You want to work on your ability to getting familiar with your mind and your emotions and learning how to regulate your emotions and learning how to shift your mind, your mental state at will. These are the things that will make you happy, because if you can control, think about it, if you can control your mind and your emotions, then you can get yourself to feel what you want to feel, right? If you can't regulate your emotions, you'll look to women to feel you'll try to get the feelings that you want from women. And what will happen is you'll basically come across as needy. And if you've ever watched any of my other videos, I talk about basically neediness is like the most unattractive quality that you can display to women. Actually, if you display neediness, you'll repel women. So you don't want to be the type of guy that's like trying to, find happiness in a woman. You want to develop that happiness within yourself. So when you develop your emotional control, you'll be able to affect women by transferring the emotions you're feeling to the woman you're interacting with, right? So ultimately, women are responding to emotions, right? The emotions that you're triggering or transferring to her. So if you can develop your ability to control your emotions, then you'll be able to transfer different emotions that you want the woman to feel. So that should be more of your focus. Like, how can I gain control over my emotional states, right? How can I, learn how to regulate my emotional state? And whatever you want a woman to feel, you have to feel it first, right? So if you approach a woman and you feel incomplete and you feel scarcity or you feel unhappy or whatever the case may be, that's going to come across. And you can't hide it because that's happening on a subconscious level. Subconsciously, you may tell yourself, I'm cool and I'm the shit or whatever. Like, try to act cool with the woman, but your subconscious programming is saying, actually, I'm not cool. Actually, I'm miserable, or I'm not getting the results I want, or I'm in scarcity, or, I'm not happy, and that's what's going to come across. So, another thing you may have realized, or you need to realize, is that you probably have emotional blocks which are preventing you from expressing your emotions in front of a woman. So what you must do is get familiar with the emotions you've been depriving yourself of. So essentially what I'm saying here is, don't go and do cold approach thinking that you're going to go and get a woman to make you feel good. Learn how to make yourself feel good. And then if you want to do cold approach, go and do it, but do it as a whole being. Do it from a place of wholeness, from mental and emotional harmony that is independent of any external source. That means that you've created and cultivated these feelings and emotions from within, and then you're able to transfer it to the woman. One of the ways to change your emotional state, so I'm going to give you some advice here, is by changing your physiology, right? So this is something that, it's interesting because, let's say you're not feeling too good. If you start smiling, like you literally just force yourself to start smiling, you'll start to feel better. Now, most people don't do it because it requires a certain level of mindfulness and willpower. When you're in the negative emotion, the emotion usually is very strong, and it puts you into like this autopilot mode where you're not very conscious, you're not very mindful, you're just kind of stuck in the emotion. And so people just stay stuck in the emotion, and they need something outside of them to snap them out of it, right? So somebody may tell you, hey man, snap out of it, like stop, stop you know worrying about that, or stop being negative or whatever. And then you come back to consciousness. Oh yeah, why am I being so negative? Right? So it requires a certain level of mindfulness to be able to catch yourself when you go into these negative states, and use your willpower to break out of it by changing your physiology. Literally, sometimes I may be feeling a little like just sort of low vibration, feeling like lower emotions, maybe just worry or fear or whatever, right? And so I'll change my physiology. I may just work out, go into a workout, right? Because I know that's gonna change the way I feel. It's gonna make me feel like strong. For me, when I start working out or whatever, it makes me feel strong, masculine, like I can handle anything. Or I may start smiling, or I may start thinking about someone I love, right? You change your physiology, you change the way you're thinking, you do something about it, but you have to use your willpower. Another one is you can create emotions by acting as if, right? So actors are really good at creating emotions. They're creating these emotions from within by acting as if. So you can act as if you're happy, act as if you're whole, act as if you're fulfilled, right? And by doing that, you're training your mind to believe that it's true. So that's another way you can do it. The way I developed my ability to regulate my emotions was a combination of doing tons of cold approaches, which is not necessary, but I didn't know any better, and learning meditative practices. This is much more efficient. So basically, anyone that comes to me for coaching or advice or anything like that, I may tell them to do some cold approach because, like I said, it builds character and all that stuff. But I'll also tell them that there's certain meditations that I recommend they do because you want to be efficient. You want to work smarter as opposed to harder. Instead of doing thousands of cold approaches like I did, you can just do like a few cold approaches, but do your inner work, which would be like the meditations and the things I just told you about, learning how to change your physiology, becoming more mindful, learning how to act as if, right? These things will begin to reprogram your subconscious mind. There's also some other specific things that I can, I show my clients. But basically, you can do the cold approach, but like you may do like a few, like maybe 3 cold approaches or 5 cold approaches today or whatever. But you're also doing your inner work, your meditations, and your, different things to learn how to regulate your emotional state. So what happens is you're combining these two things and you're accelerating. You're doing like the outer work and the inner work, and you're combining the two to accelerate the process as opposed to just doing a ton of cold approaches. So here's the truth: whatever you want to feel, you can feel it now. We've been brainwashed into believing we need external sources to feel the emotions we want to feel. You don't need anyone or anything outside of you to feel what you want to feel. Okay, if you want to be happy, you can start feeling happy now. There is a way to create happiness within you right now. Okay, if you want to feel joy, there's a way. If you want to feel love, there's a way, right? And I gave you some tips here, but I also have like a full process of specific meditations and different things that I do to regulate my emotional state. So I don't need to do that. I did thousands of approaches in the past, but I'm not doing that much cold approach anymore because I don't need to do it. You just get yourself in an attractive state, and then you live your life, and you'll attract women naturally. And that's the way to do it, man. So much easier. One of the most attractive qualities you can develop is wholeness, which is mental and emotional harmony, independent of any external source, right? Wholeness is a result of learning how to regulate your emotions. If you can give yourself the emotions that you're trying to get from women, you become emotionally independent, right? You become whole. You no longer need anything outside of you to enjoy, to love yourself and love your life. Now imagine you approach a woman from that place as opposed to approaching a woman from a place of feeling empty, right? Which one do you think is going to be more attractive? So when you become whole and develop emotional control, you become outcome independent, and you'll no longer be seeking women to make you feel certain emotions because you have the ability to do it yourself. So this is when you become really attractive, because you're coming from a place of wholeness, and because you're coming from a place of wholeness, you're actually approaching a woman with the intention of, I'm whole, but I'd like to share this wholeness with you. So you're basically saying, hey, I'm here to give you value. You can't give me anything that I don't already have, right? You can only maybe add to what I have, but I'm already whole. So another way to put this is, if she was to reject you, it wouldn't hurt as much or bother you as much, because you realize you're not really losing anything. If anything, she's losing, right? Because she's losing the opportunity to be with a guy who's already whole. You see what I'm saying? So now this whole thing, you just come from a place of strength. All right. So that is the advice. I hope this made sense to you, and I hope you can see that there's just a way more efficient way to attract beautiful women than doing thousands of cold approaches. And if you'd like me to guide you through an efficient process that will make you naturally attractive to beautiful women without doing thousands of cold approaches, just go ahead and private message me. Let me know you saw this video and you're interested in learning more about how you can attract beautiful women without doing thousands of cold approaches. Or you could just comment natural below and I'll reach out to you. All right. Thanks for watching. Peace.